Oh, goody, goody, here it comes.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show.
You are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here.
Oh, my God, don't stop now!
With your hosts, Brian, John, and Elaine.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show, the madhouse for film freaks and film fans of all types. I'm your host, Brian Content, joined by my fellow co-host and filmmaker, John Woolscroft.
Clearly the greatest movie of 1989, and no one's going to question me here, is Turner and Hooch.
I will question you there.
How dare you,
I, sir? Yeah. But we are on episode 275. And this week we're taking a little bit of a break from our look at the current slate of movies from 2023 summer blockbuster. I have a feeling we're going to have a conversation about how the summer of 2023 is shaping up to be the bizarro version of the summer of 1989. But we're going to look at a look back at what arguably might be considered the birth of the modern summer box office season. I'm gonna fuck this up so many times. Box office season.
Season. Yeah.
Keep it in. I'm keeping it in, man. I'm keeping it in. And that is a look back at the summer of 1989. I was 4. John, I think you were also 4.
Yeah, I think I'm like 2 months older than you.
Older than me, yes.
Yeah. So, it is by most people's standards like I can't believe how many tentpole movies came out in 1989, and we're not just talking like good. We're talking good, bad, and the ugly, but we're also talking franchise movies that started franchises, movies that continued franchises, like movies that you've heard of, whether you've seen them or not, but also some very like highly rated movies, like not to give spoilers at this point, but Dead Poets Society was nominated for Best Picture of the Year, as much as you give merit to that. But so it wasn't just like, popcorn flick as you would think of it normally. So they had a lot going on this summer.
I think that 1989 was like this bizarre convergence of movies that were crazy pop culture, right? Like Batman, not Superman, but Ghostbusters 2, Indiana Jones. But then just, you said, like, these movies also there were some movies in there that I don't think could be made today. And I really don't think that they would be made today because they were original ideas. Like you brought up Dead Poets Society. Like that's an original idea that took off. Honey, I Shrunk the Kid was one of the movies that, again, bizarre concept, original idea, not based off of any property other than just being a Disney movie, and it blew up. No pun intended.
Yeah. The first time I went to Disney World, my parents took my sister and I when I was 8, and two things that were, not rides, but experiences there was the Indiana Jones Adventure.
Yeah.
The stunt show. And at the time in Epcot, and they swap it out probably, I don't know, every 6 months or a year for something new and fresh, is the 4D experience was Honey, I Shrunk the Kids 4D experience. So this summer resonated, to say the very least, with pop culture and everything. But just as a point of reference here, I wanted to mention 88 and 90.
Okay.
As a comparison here. So Brian, do you want to take I'm putting Brian on the spot
because I didn't know what was going on.
Do you have any idea what the highest grossing movie was in 1988?
88. Oh shit. I got nothing.
Sorry, folks.
I got nothing.
It was Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Okay, that makes sense.
But just looking at, the top, let me even go down to number 8 here. We got Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Coming to America, Crocodile Dundee 2. So we have one sequel there. Big, Willow, Die Hard, which people now say, oh, Die Hard was a classic. Like that movie was projected to possibly fall flat on its face.
Yeah, it was.
Cocktail, and then we get to Rambo 3. So a lot of a lot of original stuff, not very many tentpole things. You know, like obviously Die Hard was not a tentpole.
Were those
yet.
all released during the summer? Okay.
Yes. Yeah. And if we jump ahead, even just 1 year ahead, you start to see a few more tentpole stuff, but not really. Like the highest grossing movie of the summer for 1990 was Ghost.
Yeah.
And then Total Recall, which is based on
Classic.
a short story, but you actually have to, be into reading books. Yeah. Die Hard 2 had come out, Dick Tracy, Back to the Future 3. So like Die Hard 2, Dick Tracy, Back to the Future 3, now you're starting to see, okay, a lot of like save the summer for the tentpole popcorn movies. But there's also, Days of Thunder, Pretty Woman, another 48 Hours, Bird on a Wire.
I don't, that one lost on me. I don't know what the hell that is.
That's a Mel Gibson movie.
Okay. There you go.
Yeah, TBS used to run it like 300 times a day. And well, speaking of movies that are run all the time on WGN, RoboCop 2 came in at 12. Arachnophobia was the 11th highest grossing movie of the year in 1990.
Yes.
So wrap your head around that one.
You know what? I that movie especially, like I remember the marketing push on that one, even as a 5-year-old at the time. And yeah, it was big. It was massive. But I just think that 1989, that particular summer, just represents an inflection point where the movie industry kind of changed a bit.
I think there's one movie and one movie alone that changed it, and that was the summer of Batmania.
Oh my God,
Bat Fever, if you will. They said and I would even watch a documentary on this because I'm a nerd. I would watch a documentary just purely on the marketing of Batman 89 alone. Just all the work they put into the marketing of it. And when I was a little kid, I thought, because I like Batman, that like everything was just catered to my whims and it would always be that way. Because at the time, I'm 4 years old, they start rerunning the old 60s show, and I don't know that show's campy. I'm just like, it's more Batman. And they also, Warner Brothers cuts a deal with DC and everything that they're like, okay, all this old Batman merch that isn't related to the movie, we're going to start marketing that as well. So the old blue and gray Batman stuff, because we got a whole warehouse full of this shit. So
all
everywhere
of the like Justice League stuff from the early 80s and late 70s, that's when they started repurposing it as Batman stuff.
Yeah, and so between that and the merch for the movie, I'm like, it's always going to be this way. I'm always going to be able to get whatever Batman toy I want, not realizing, no, it's because they're riding this Bat wave. And, I don't know if it was just kismet and everybody bought in, or if they were marketing geniuses, but everyone was wearing Batman hats and Batman t-shirts, and it was everywhere.
I really don't think people quite understand the level of saturation that Batman had during that summer and the run up to that summer. Like I really don't think there's been anything in modern time that has ever reached that level. I guess you could say like the Avengers Endgame stuff close, but it never reached the level of saturation that I really think the Batman merchandise push and marketing push really did. Like it was everywhere. You couldn't escape it. And it was also on top of that, the fans were rabid for it. This is before the internet, okay? But you had people who were stealing the posters out of like the
bus stops.
Yeah, they're still post bus stop. Yeah. They were going to the movie theater not to see the movie, but to watch the trailer. Like paying full price to just go to the trailer, then leave. Like that was a real thing. People were doing that in droves, and I really don't think we've ever seen anything since that has at all matched up with that.
I mean, it's because it's at the bar. Everybody has tried.
They've all tried, but it's never gotten that far. Like even in the early 90s, like you had, the summer Jurassic Park, which, okay, that might have gotten close, but it never got to the level of Batman. Every sequel that they've done with Batman has also been the same thing. It's never gotten to that part, even with the Christopher Nolan films, and, you know,
I would say The Dark Knight came close. I wouldn't say in terms of trying to sell T-shirts, but in terms of the hype of that movie.
the hype of that movie, I also think was influenced heavily by the death of Heath Ledger.
Yeah,
you know, like people were going to see this movie because they're like, holy crap, the trailer for this is crazy. And that's Heath Ledger's last performance. And I want to see it because of that. But when I'm talking about saturation, I mean that quite literally for about, 4 months before that movie hit to, the rest of the year, like all the way up until December of that year, it was Batman everywhere. Like it had a stranglehold over the whole world, everywhere. And like for me as a 4-year-old, like the minute, like I don't know what came first. If my obsession with Batman came first because of the movie, or if it had predated. I don't know because I was 4. I don't remember. But all I know is, I became obsessed with Batman. It was kind of like you, John. Like I thought, holy crap, the world is obsessed too with Batman. So like I had the blanket set and the bed set and I still have the pillows from it. I have had the doll. Every time that Taco Bell commercial came on or the Diet Coke commercial came on for Batman.
Oh, it's a Diet Coke.
Well, the Taco Bell one is one that not a lot of people remember, but I actually remember it really well. The cinema sticks and the cups they were selling. It's always a fucking cup. Like that's all the fast food.
The collector's
cup was always.
And then your mom puts it in the dishwasher.
Yes,
ruins
it always ruins
it.
But like I remember that whole marketing push, and I don't think we've ever seen anything even close to the level of insanity that Batmania brought.
Yeah, and it set the course for it. Now, if obviously we're talking a lot of numbers here and competing studios, I think the desire for the Memorial Day weekend release, which kicked off the summer, of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, which obviously, as we all know, was the last Indiana Jones movie. It has last.
It actually
in the title.
is. It actually is the last one. I don't care what people say.
Brian, I saw the dildo of destiny, so that's all I'm going to say. So we'll be talking
the
about
other day. Dude, what I say? It was the dump of destiny.
Dump of destiny.
Yeah. Dildo destiny. Dump of destiny. Classic.
But that was it Universal Studios that released those movies? I'm drawing a blank now.
Indiana Jones?
Yeah,
possibly.
Whomever it was trying to take a shit on Batman.
Oh, well, that's the thing is like every movie that came out starting in May up until Batman they were all trying to swipe at him. Like literally one after another. Like you have Indiana Jones, you've got Dead Poet Society. I don't think that was trying to take a swipe at anything. I think Dead Poet Society was trying to be like, oh yes, amongst all of this franchises that are hitting all at the same time in that first couple months, we're going to be the Oscar bait,
which in June is so odd because that was like kind of like the second movie to come out. You think they would want to sneak that in like September?
Well, that's the thing is October. This is before I think there really was an idea of the windowing for certain award films. You know what I mean?
January and February is when the shit comes out.
Well, yeah.
May to August is when all the blockbusters come out, and like November to December is, well, a little Christmas in there too, but also that's when the award contenders come out, and don't divert from that. That's the way it is.
But that's the way it is now. I think in 1989 that was not the case. I really don't think that there was this adherence to this major, like, if you want to get the awards, you have to come out at this time. I really don't think that was the case. I think it was just like, oh, well, we've got the movie that come out, and yeah, it's kind of going to be, our stab at the heartstrings and mature moviegoer rather than the blow 'em up and franchise moviegoer. But yeah, I mean, it comes out, it's kind of like, wow, that's great. But then like all through June, you've got Star Trek V: The Final Frontier, which that was terrible.
But how are we to know? The fourth one about the whales is pretty.
The fourth
tight,
one was awesome, but the fifth one is about God.
But again, Brian, we don't know. And I mean, the title, The Final Frontier, like, I'm like, oh,
it's
if you
the
don't
one
know,
directed by William Shatner. Okay.
yeah. But if you don't know, it's just like, cool, another Star Trek movie. This might be the last one ever.
No, it's not. It's not. Never ends. But you've got License to Kill immediately after that, which,
Bond is Bond.
It's Bond,
though,
right?
know?
Yeah, like that's a Bond film, and Bond has been around since the '60s. So, yeah.
So we got another tent pole there, and honestly, I don't think they expected the franchise to take a nosedive, because I believe The Living Daylights, which was the first Timothy Dalton one, did decent.
It did.
It didn't blow it out the water, but they're like, oh, License to Kill, like that one, that'll make a huge bunch of summer bucks. It didn't really. And then we got, so not only is it interesting to talk about the numbers, but it also kind of talk about how the summer kind of started franchise and kind of killed them too for a lot of things. And it wasn't until
a lot of them too. Like that's the thing too. Like
it was 6 years till we got another James Bond movie, and by that time we had a new James Bond, we had a new
GoldenEye.
Yeah,
love that movie. I know this movie didn't come out in 1989, but like man, oh man, I love early Pierce Brosnan Bond. First couple movies in that series, really good. After that, it starts to go downhill to ridiculousness, but man, GoldenEye, so good. But getting back to this, then you get Ghostbusters 2, which here's the thing. Okay. This movie was nowhere near as big as the first Ghostbusters, but keep in mind that this movie had come out, Ghostbusters came out in what, like 1982? Oh no, 84, right?
Yeah. Because remember, it's 5 years
later.
5
years later. And this is after Ghostbusters basically like blew up, has an action, TV show on Saturday mornings. There's High C Ecto Cooler, which is still the nectar of the gods. I don't care who the hell you are. Ecto Cooler and Surge, man, nectar of the gods.
Some people remember Ecto Cooler more than they do Ghostbusters 2.
That's sad. Well, the Ecto Cooler stuck around a lot longer than Ghostbusters 2. Like I remember getting Ecto Cooler in the late 90s.
Well, they still sell it. It's still it's one of the flavors they have. It's just not dyed green anymore.
It isn't. Oh, that's part. That's half the allure, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, like so, Ghostbusters 2 kind of breaks out, and it did okay. It didn't break any records, but well, actually, it did. It had the biggest 3-day weekend gross in history when it was released, which.
Yeah, I'm sure that will last.
It didn't last very long.
But here's something interesting about License to Kill. That came out on a Tuesday.
That's so stupid.
Which is like, I think they thought we need to get at least 3 days in before Ghostbusters like jail bangs us in the ass.
Vigo bangs in the ass.
Yeah,
he is Vigo. He will bang your box office numbers in your asshole. I mean, I love Ghostbusters 2. I'd say out of the two, it's my favorite. Like everybody loves the first one, and the first one is universally loved. But like, there's so many things in Ghostbusters 2 that I just like. I love Vigo and that whole river of slime and. It's goof. There's some goofy elements to it, and there's definitely some moments in there that you're like, "This is taken from the cartoon, isn't it?" But
cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug. I mean, but I just know for me, I love Ghostbusters 2. But you're right, it did pretty well for about 7 days because the Big Kahuna came out the next weekend and. Basically dominated after that. Batman came out June 23rd. Dominated.
Yeah, I see. I don't, with this kind of stuff, I think I would have pushed for a June 9th Ghostbusters 2 release date, so I at least had 2 weeks before what everyone knew was going to shatter the box office.
You know, John, do you think that maybe because, studios, they often put their release schedules out like the year before, right? So do you think that maybe people in the industry did not foresee the level of Batmania in 1988?
Possibly, yeah, because until the trailer came out, I think a lot of people were saying like, oh, this is going to be junk. It's like superhero movies are over. Superman 4 was terrible and Howard the Duck was terrible. Superheroes, nobody wants to see those. So I do think you have a point there.
Yeah. Because the other thing too is, the whole drama with Michael Keaton's casting as Batman.
He's too short.
People burning him in effigy.
He's got his hair thinning. He doesn't have big muscles.
Yeah. Yeah. He's Mr. Mom. We don't want Mr. Mom as Batman. It's like, dude, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But I think that those things, the bad press that hit this movie the year or two before, I really think that kind of made some of the other studios way overconfident about summer of 89, excuse me. I think they were way overconfident. They thought, oh, we've got good movies that are going to take on this. And then, that trailer comes, and then you've got the run up to that movie basically encapsulating the entire globe for the entire late winter into spring and summer. Yeah, I think that kind of made them all go, oh, fuck.
which is funny, to say like how popular that trailer was, because Brian, you and I are both editors, and I think we can both undisputedly say that's a horrible
it's god
trailer.
Awful.
They put it together in like an hour.
Well, here's the thing. There are two trailers. Okay, there are two trailers. Yeah. So one, there's the trailer that just about everyone has been able to find on the internet, and it's whatever. It's a 1980s movie trailer. But there's another one that really became popular to find on YouTube, I'd say in the past like 10 or so years. And it's the one that Warner Brothers was forced to put together really quick because of the backlash. And that's the one that John and I are talking about. And it's not the one where you see like the yellow lettering like fold out on the black background. That's the one that most people know about. That's the trailer 2, I'd call it. But trailer 1, the first one, was, you had temp sound effects, you had on set screaming, like the scene where Batman shoots the one bad guy, and he falls down. You actually hear him scream, and it's the real on-set scream, and it gets cut off abruptly. Like they're like, don't fade it out. Fuck it.
It's like a freshman editing student. You hand him all the clips from Batman and iMovie and say, figure out how to edit. And you get this trailer.
Yeah. But that is the one that people were losing their shit over. And that was the one that got people to buy tickets to movies they weren't going to actually see and just stay for the trailer because they knew the trailer was playing at those theaters. Like that fact alone just blows my mind. People spending money to go to the movie theater.
Hey, there's no YouTube to watch
I know that, but I'm just saying people spend the money to go to the theater to see the trailer and then just, I'm done.
Well, movies were also like a hay penny back then.
Oh,
you throw a hay penny down, ding, give me a ticket to.
We're talking like $3.
Yeah,
$3 to $4 was back then, and that wasn't that was not matinee numbers. That was like evening
prime time.
Yeah. But no.
But here's
go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, here's a question that I have for you though. What do you think about the idea that Ghostbusters 2 and Batman are radically different movies? One's a supernatural comedy, one is about a guy in a rubber outfit punching a clown in the face. So like, do you think that the studios also thought, well, Ghostbusters 2 is different enough that it's going to have a different audience as compared to, some people that just want to go to whatever the big blockbuster is that year. Do you think that they thought Ghostbusters 2 is different enough that Batman won't really bother us because it's a different type of movie?
I mean, it is a different type of movie, but at the same time, look at the merchandising that both Batman and Ghostbusters were putting out. Okay. And they were primarily targeting kids. Okay. Yeah. So, Ghostbusters 2 had their Saturday morning cartoon, which that basically did the job of keeping them relevant for 5 years, with children, which that's who they targeted as. That's the people who want to watch this movie. And that's why the biggest criticism that people have with Ghostbusters 2 is that it is too geared towards children. Now, Batman, obviously, despite what the parents groups in 1992 felt about Batman Returns, saying that, oh, that's too dark and it's too... They clearly never saw the original Batman because that movie is fucking dark as shit. Okay.
It's not as riddled with as many Daniel Waters sexual one-liners every 5 seconds.
I get it's not that we're not seeing, women in black latex,
Just the pussy I've been looking for.
I get that. But what I'm saying is, like, they clearly never saw the first Batman because in the first Batman, what do you have? You have, 1940s prostitutes running around the street saying, hey, honey,
hitting on little kids.
Trying to pick up little kids. Okay. You've got multiple people who are mugging people with guns. All right. You've also got the murder of people multiple times, coupled by, the Joker who, falls into a vat of chemicals, kills police officers, kills other members of the mob, turns them into skeletons in comical ways.
It's the tone. I think it's the tone because, like, obviously he brutally burnt a man to death and then mocked his death, but it's like, hey, he looks like a cartoon skeleton, so I think that's kind of how they get around.
But I guess my point is just like, even though people were all up their ass in 92, and like there are clips of this on YouTube, honestly, like of parents going, oh, you know what, my kid wants to go to Batman, but she can't because it's too sexual and it's too violent. It's like, fuck you, buddy. Like, did you not see the first movie? So,
and then a bunch of kids that are paid off to be like, it scared me and stop.
Yes, totally bullshit. But all I'm saying is that even though Ghostbusters 2 more marketed towards kids, Batman, you could say not targeted to the same people, but I think they are targeted to the same people. They're targeted towards children, at least in the merchandising stuff. Because it's a superhero, because it's Batman, because still at this time, even though that graphic novels like The Dark Knight Returns and things like that really had made Batman grow up a little bit, the studios and the market people are still saying this is a comic book character and kids are going to be our target. So yeah, they're different vibes, but they're still targeting the same people.
Well, the original goal of it was to get, before he was Ghostbusters, well, I think after he did Ghostbusters, I should say, Ivan Reitman to do a 60s TV show version, and Bill Murray was going to play Batman as like an Adam West type of thing.
I'm so glad they never did that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There was talk about, we talked about last week about Flash, like, nearly 10 years in the making. Batman was 10 years in the making. I think right after Superman hit, they go, all right, let's make a Batman movie. And it took a decade later. And thank God it did, because, it had that late 80s, early 90s edge. But speaking of a movie that came out that same weekend, talk about hoping for a different audience, is the same weekend as Batman was Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
I gotta say, Honey, I Shrunk the Kid has a pair of balls on that movie. Jesus Christ. Like, to come out the same day as Batman, and that's like, holy fuck.
Well, I know that Disney released Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and like, we have to remember there was a time before Disney owned small countries. And this is before Little Mermaid. This is before they bought
this
Marvel.
Is after Little Mermaid. This Little Mermaid came out.
No. Well, Little Mermaid hadn't come out till November of '89.
Really? Are you sure it didn't come out earlier?
No,
Oh,
I double checked
okay.
it just before we started recording. Yeah, so it's like this is before their animation
Yeah.
bounced back. This is before they bought up all kinds of different properties.
Oh, this was right at the tail
whatever.
end of their dark period.
Yeah, like the Aristocats and shit.
Yeah, and Black Cauldron.
Yeah.
But yeah, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. You know, I got to say for that feels to me like a better pairing than Ghostbusters 2. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because clearly Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, it is a family film. It is lighter. It is geared, I'd say, more towards younger kids, and, it's just, one, I love Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. That's a great film. I've introduced my daughter to it, and she loves it, too. Although she's one of these periods now where, like, movies that I introduced to her maybe, like, 2 years ago, she's like, I don't remember watching those. So I have to
Damn you,
replay them.
Corlin.
Yeah. Yeah, like I told her, I'm like, hey, do you want to go see Indiana Jones with me? And she's like, no, I don't like Indiana Jones. I'm like, but you watched all 3 of them like 2 years ago. But that was, 2-year-old Coraline, not.
Yeah, I was gonna say cognitive memory doesn't come until about 4.5.
I know. Which is probably why one of my first memories is Batman, because I was around 4. But yeah, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, great movie, great pairing for that weekend. And I'd say that's probably why this particular movie was kind of the surprise sleeper hit of the summer.
It had to be a weird drive-in, because they usually just try to pair movies that come out around the same time. It's like, come see Batman, stay for Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Like, I guarantee there were a lot of like nerds that had girlfriends that geeked out over Batman, and then they got into some sticky fumblings during Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Oh, of course, because there was like, we'll do other things through that movie.
Yeah, and then you get horribly traumatized when you nut to a giant ant.
or nut to one of the kids like eating the cookie, like where his face is all full of white shit, and you're just like, that's not the image I want in my brain. Oh, terrible. But yeah, like right after that weekend, what do you follow that up with? As Batman still
the strangest
slaying...
the strangest 4th of July weekend movie I've ever seen in my life. Do the Right Thing.
Yeah, that's a hell of a 4th of July movie.
And I know that some people might be like, well, John, the movie takes place during a hot summer day, and it was a hot summer day they released it. I call bullshit because Batman Returns came out in June, and that's takes place at Christmas, and that was like in the top 4 highest grossing movies of 1992. Yep. I think domestically it was. I don't think worldwide
it didn't
but
get
domestically. Yeah. So like, so I don't think that the movies have to take place at the same time they come out.
No.
But
well, here's the thing. With Batman Returns, I've always said that they knew exactly what they were doing when they placed it in Christmas. Because they want to make sure that fucking movie is primed for Christmas holiday shopping when that tape comes out. Because here's the thing, kids. Back then, movies took a long time to get to home video. You had a good 6 months before you ended up getting the tape. Or in this case, probably about 5 months, my guess. Have it come out
before you got the VHS or the beta.
Oh, well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you had about 5 months before this thing became available, right around Thanksgiving, so that it could be bought up for Christmas time. So that's why and honestly, you still see this nowadays. When you see a movie that has a Christmas setting and a movie comes out in the summertime, they're totally trying to get a play for you to get it in the holiday season. That's why like Bad Santa came out, I think, in the summertime.
It was, well, I don't know if that was a marketing juggernaut, but everybody had the Bad Santa bed sheets.
Yeah, oh, totally.
Yeah. But yeah, that's one of the few Christmas like VHS recordings, so Christmas morning, that I really remember my parents doing. And it might as well have been Merry Batmas, because like my mom, she got me because my dad didn't do shit. My mom got me like the Batwing, the Batmobile. The big gift that year was our VHS copy, which I still have, of Batman. Well, 89 is feel stupid saying that, but the original Batman movie, that was like, and it was after a while, after they started to get the meal prep started for Christmas, like the big thing was my sister and I were going to be able to sit down and watch our VHS copy of Batman while they finished getting dinner ready. It was like, whoa,
I played my Batman VHS copy to the point where it broke.
Man, see, I watched it so much too. I never
many
got that
times. Yeah.
And that Diet Coke commercial, doesn't Alfred go, yes, this is Alfred of Stately Wayne Manor. We're out of Diet Coke. Somebody's coming to pick some up. He'll be in a fucking Batmobile. It's like, Alfred,
Well, he says,
you idiot.
This car will be quite hard to miss.
I just like to live in a world before Batman was even fighting crime. He was just driving as Batman to buy like Coke and a couple of scratchers. Pack of Marlboros. Give me a couple Slim Jims.
But Do the Right Thing. Great movie.
Horribly ignored that year. I think
so.
I would say what I think was the best film of 1989 was Do the Right Thing.
I would pick this
cinematic
one
landmark
over Dead Poet Society any day.
Oh yeah, no, this makes Dead Poet Society look like a piece of shit, in my opinion.
But
I think
it's 1989.
This is a once in a lifetime.
Well, that's what I'm
movie,
saying. Like it's 1989 and it's about race, so we can't, give it awards.
No, if you want to talk about race, we'll do Driving Miss Daisy.
Well, you know what I would find hilarious is that, like, you know how nowadays every person, well, it's not every person, it's more like every cinema person out there who, hates a lot of the movies, and a lot of the movies that are like female centric and says, oh, it's the woke culture. Like, I can't stand this. I've seen this now with a lot of YouTubers where they will bash every single Marvel film, every single film, and say, oh, this is because of woke culture, and it's because we all the sheepocalypse. And it's like, what the fuck are you talking? Imagine them looking at, say, Do the Right Thing in 1989. These guys, and I say guys because I'm sorry, they tend to all be men, would be blasting, oh, it's so woke, it's so woke. It's like, did you not watch it?
Well, the funny thing is
fucking
that,
race, asshole.
So much stuff that people watch when they're kids, they don't really realize is quote unquote, not to use their stupid word, but woke. Like Star Wars in 1977 was woke.
Oh yeah,
whoa. There's this
rebels
hilarious
attacking
tweet.
a oppressive galactic empire.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Richard Nixon meets Adolf Hitler. Okay, yeah, but there was this funny tweet where somebody said, I just got the new Rage Against the Machine album. When the hell did Rage get so political? And like the lead singer Rage Against the Machine like commented back, he's like, dude, where the fuck have you been for 25 years?
I would say Rage became political when they released music.
Yeah,
you idiot. Oh man, I can't stand it. Now that same weekend that Do the Right Thing came out, you also had I would say one of the other movies that in this collection you're like, it's cool now, but The Karate Kid Part 3.
Well, here's the thing about The Karate Kid is the first one was a out of left field phenomenon. And then the second one, I would say that this is one of the few movies I think that does sequels right, except for like the last 15 minutes where it turns into the first one again.
Oh, the whole like
it's like
you got the battle, and it's like now it's
gotta fight that dude.
Fight that dude, but it's like it's for death. Like they fucking there is no surrender. It's killed.
But up to that, it's just kind of like Daniel's son fish out of water in Japan, and that's kind of like okay, neat.
Yeah.
It's not exactly the same movie. Now, Karate Kid Part 3 is the first movie again.
Here's the thing. It's
the Return of the Jedi.
It is the Return of the Jedi. Because clearly Terry Silver is the Emperor in this, right? Like he's completely the Emperor character in this. But I guess I have more of an appreciation for this movie because I've watched Cobra Kai. John, have you ever watched any of the Cobra Kai series?
I haven't, but I heard it's great, and it's on my never-ending list of shit I'm supposed to watch.
Here's the thing. Like, I can see you hating it for the first 2 episodes, but then once you actually get past it, like, it's good.
I always like when people are like, dude, bro, give it a chance. You got to get through the first 6 seasons.
That you mean
bro.
like with fucking Game of Thrones? Like everyone and their mother's like, oh, dude, just get through the first season. What do you mean I got to wait through the first season? I don't got the time to sit through a season of building up who these fucking characters are. If you can't hook me in the first 2 episodes, I'm out. I'm done. You know,
bro, you just got to get through the first 129 episodes, bro. And then you're going to be like, wow, this is really good.
Season 9 is when this thing kicks up to high gear. Okay, so I got 9 years worth of episodes to watch. No, but I would just say, like, I have a better appreciation for this because of Cobra Kai, because what Cobra Kai did, especially in the last season, has fleshed out a lot of the character of Terry Silver and really made him way more menacing than even what this movie makes him out to be, because he kind of feels like a one-dimensional villain in this. Although what he does to Daniel in this is, I would say, psychological warfare to the nth degree.
Oh yeah, he's kind of a sociopath.
He's totally a sociopath. And that's what makes him like way more of a villain than Kreese and Johnny in the first one, and of course, I forget the name of the villain in the second one, but that villain,
that guy that Daniel fights.
But yeah, I mean, Karate Kid Part 3, it did okay, but I mean, it's a classic now. Like it's the first 3 people watch them still.
Well, and talking about a movie that opens a couple of days before just to salvage its box office is July 5th, which is a Wednesday in 1989. Is Weekend at Bernie's.
I fucking love
this
when
movie. You talk about original ideas, Brian. Yeah, it's like this movie, and it's like, granted, again, as you mentioned, they probably a year out plan the release dates of these movies, but like, you want to tuck in a movie about a dead millionaire that people are trying to pretend is still alive when Batman and Indiana Jones and Karate Kid and Star Trek and Bond are all coming out. Like, good luck.
Well, the thing is, this is a classic comedy. It's a classic. The first 2, Weekend at Bernie's, I mean, there's only 2 of them, but like the first one and the second one, I love them both for different reasons. I love the second one because of the whole like voodoo shit. And like you get moment,
the fact that he can walk on his own, then fall on his face.
It goes under the water and he's singing and bobbing his head. It's great. But like Weekend at Bernie's, can you imagine trying to pitch that nowadays? So I got a movie. It's about this boss, and he gets killed as 2 of his like subordinates who are gonna like report on his ass about shit he's doing to his business. They come and they find him dead. And they have to like make it seem like he's alive for the whole weekend, and all sorts of shenanigans ensue with a dead body. And that's the movie. It's a comedy, right? I can't see anyone trying to make this nowadays.
Yeah, I would say if I was pitching, I'd say that sounds like a great Saturday Night Live sketch for about 4 minutes. But how are you turning that into a 90-minute movie? And they pulled it off. I mean, it's not like a fantastic fucking movie, but it's funny.
But it's what this is. This is a good. And I've said this with a couple movies in the past. Go back to our back catalog. This is a good Sunday afternoon movie. It's a great Sunday afternoon movie where you're like, I got nothing else to do. I just want to like veg out and laugh at something that I don't have to think too hard about. And Weekend at Bernie's is totally that.
Yeah. Hey, look what's on TNT or USA. Yeah, it's Weekend at Bernie's.
It's always TNT, TBS, always playing Weekend at Bernie's.
Well, TNT will run like the Keith or Sutherland action movie, and TBS will run Weekend at Bernie's.
Totally.
But the reason that Weekend at Bernie's had to come out 2 days earlier, I think that some people, and they would have been horribly wrong, but some people thought the movie of the summer has got to be July 7th, Lethal Weapon 2. Whoa,
no.
Well, the funny thing is when we mention like, the big three, Indy, Ghostbusters, Batman, but then all of the tent poles, you got your Jasons and Freddys, you got your Star Trek, you got your James Bond, like Lethal Weapon 2 is, if you mention that one and people don't know that, can't remember the movies that came out in 1989, they go, that one came out too? Because this movie it made a shit ton of money. So
yeah, it did, but it's in the series. This is kind of like it's there. Like, I don't know. I never really liked the Lethal Weapon series being kind of like lukewarm for me personally. Like the first one's great. Lethal Weapon 3 is goofy. 3 and 4.
4 is just crap.
Oh, come on. You didn't like 4?
Really?
Whatever.
But and the thing is, like, I saw all 3 because like all together on video, because it was like the video rental stores would do like, if you rent this many, there's a discount. So I think I watched all 3 Lethal Weapons in one weekend, and I kind of thought they were all the same.
I mean, they are all the same. That's kind of the vibe with it.
I was like, they're not bad, because Shane Black is a pretty decent writer. Although I will say, if you look at our back catalog, I think it was 2018, maybe.
Yeah.
When Predators came out. Yeah. That was my worst movie of the year. And so I'm like, well, I guess Shane Black doesn't have that magic anymore.
No. Well, the only thing about Lethal Weapon I remember, and I think this was from the third one, I don't think it's from the second one, is when Murtaugh's on the toilet and it's about to blow up. That's it. Like that's my I'm like, oh, that's kind of silly, a kind of funny thing to do. Yeah, I think that's the third one with blonde Joe Pesci, which that's just weird. But but after that you get July 14th, which, two things with this one. You get a Peter Pan re-release. Remember when they did that? They re-released old movies as wide releases.
Well, the thing is, before home video, and the re-release thing was a huge marketing play, because once the movies had their theatrical run, unless they ended up on, like, if they were trashier, like cable, or if they were huge, like the network debut, they just kind of died. They just kind of disappeared. And there was a big fight for VHS, because they said, we make our money by re-releasing the bigger movies over and over and over again, and VHS is going to destroy that entire market. So, like, they didn't want to release Godfather on VHS and beta, because, like, maybe every year, every other year, they re-release it into theaters and everybody goes, let's go take our limited chance to see the Godfather again. But the thing that helped VHS, like, kind of go into the stratosphere in terms of affordability,
besides porn,
besides porn, the studios said, you got to sell these things for like $300, because that's how bad it's going to hurt our re-release things in movie theaters. And so back in the day, if you had a VHS, it better be your favorite fucking movie of all time. Better be Godfather, Wizard of Oz, because that's the one movie you're going to own. That's it. Because who has $300 in the 80s, for a movie? It was Top Gun that had a Pepsi ad where I think, like, Tom Cruise is like, Maverick, and I drink Pepsi. Yeah, it makes me awesome at flying, and because Pepsi had that ad in the front of it, Pepsi paid so much money, they could charge like $29.99 for a copy of Top Gun. And I say, if you don't believe me that every movie had an ad at the beginning, go back and watch any VHS for post Top Gun, and you'll see, as we talked about the Batman one, mine had the Warner Brothers catalog with Bugs and Daffy, and then the Diet Coke commercial. My Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles one had the Pizza Hut, making it great. But the reason I'm coming around here is that Disney, however, was bizarrely late to the financial game, where they had their Disney Vault.
Oh, yes. The famed Disney Vault, where they would put the movie out and then take it back from you, like the fascist assholes they are.
So yeah, I don't think they wanted to do the ad
No.
marketing as
No.
much as the other movies and the other studios did. So they were still on the re-release bandwagon, because I think in my research for 1990, the following year, they re-released Jungle Book.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in the summertime, so it's kind of like, yeah, they were late to the just have Diet Coke do a commercial before your movie so people can actually afford to buy it for their kids.
And when we mean afford to buy it, we mean that these movies are priced at about $29
yeah, instead of $300.
Which you might be saying, well, Jesus Christ, why would you spend $29 on a piece of plastic? It's like, that's how much movies cost back then.
Yeah.
They were not cheap.
You didn't have $7 streaming services?
No, we had to own our movies or rent them. Like, you went to a store to rent them. Old man here talking. But
well, the same time that Peter Pan came out, and I think we could have almost done this episode of guess what movies that you don't remember came out in the summer of 1989, and like Dead Poet Society, like what? Like when Harry Met Sally came out in the heart of the summer of 1989, and talk about another smash hit. Brian, was it just that movies were cheaper back then, or was it that like people just had more disposable income? Because it seems like almost every movie this summer, even the bad ones like Star Trek V, they did bank. Who has money to go to the movies every weekend?
It definitely was cheaper, but I think it's also cheaper relative to, the cost of how much your dollar could go back then. But I also think the other thing too, John, is every one of these movies that we've been talking about, they're not geared towards the exact same audience, right? So like when Harry Met Sally, that's your mom and dad.
Yeah, maybe that's not the Last Crusade
That's not the Last Crusade audience. Your mom and dad's going to go see When Harry Met Sally. Okay?
And then they're going to fuck in the Oldsmobile on the way home.
Although, when you think about it, When Harry Met Sally is really a story about what? An incel who wants to get with his female friend? Isn't that what basically
and he's
is?
like, men and women can't be friends because men have wieners. It's like, okay. 1989.
But I'm like saying, like, when you think about it, you're like, yeah, this doesn't really play as well as once you think about it. But no, I think the big takeaway is that every one of these movies was different. They were original ideas. Crazy concept there. Original ideas. And film goers at the time were like, well, you know what? I saw my Batman, a couple, month or so earlier. And, the movie I want to see with my wife or my girlfriend is going to be When Harry Met Sally. So I think it was just a matter of they were geared towards different audiences. And, they just were all really good. Even the bad ones.
Yeah. Now, I'm personally a fan of When Harry Met Sally 6, Harry Lives, or Harry Takes Manhattan. No, but speaking of, so as a segue here, as we get into the later July, which
this is where it gets
honestly
kind of weird.
And these are movies that people probably recognize either whether they saw them or name alone, but it's like, it's honestly late July these days, like, and into August. Like we always say like, oh, the summer blockbusters period is Memorial Day until the end of August. Like, but I think people are giving August too much credit.
Yes.
I don't really think very many good things come out in August. But before we get to August, so July 21st has 3 movies that came out that UHF, which was certainly not a hit in and of itself.
Love it.
Right. You had to be a Weird Al fan, but I mean, as you remember, Brian, this movie kind of ate it at the box. I think
it did.
It became a cult phenomenon on VHS.
It absolutely became
at the rental store.
Yes, the rental store made this movie. I think also playing back on cable and just like being one of those Sunday afternoon movies too also made this one a hit. Because
hell, we did do
an episode with it. And it's one of those things that I think younger audiences got it. The same people who were into Batman probably watched this movie years later and grew to appreciate its bizarro humor. Because think about it, UHF to me feels more like a 90s gross out movie than an 80s movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It was, well, that Weird Al, he was always on the cusp of what was
No,
hot.
but you know what I mean? Like,
What was hot at the time?
when I talk about 90s, a lot of times what comes to my mind are like the gross out commercials and like slime always being the thing. Like that was the thing. Like in the 90s, everything was extreme. Everything was gross. And that's just kind of how it was. Like that's so like UHF kind of fits more that bill than the late 80s. And like clearly you watch this movie and it clearly has a late 80s vibe to it. It's referencing Rambo and a bunch of other things. But it just feels to me like the humor is way more suited for 90s kids than, the audience that it was trying to get in 89.
Although I would say, like, for a lot of these 80s movies that when we mentioned don't hold up all that well, I would say just for one reason only this movie doesn't hold up is that no young people understand what UHF even means, what cable and, how far out it can reach. Nobody understands
No one
that
gets
any
that
longer.
anymore.
Yeah.
Like
But-
imagine you're trying to remake this nowadays. It'd have to be a streaming service that's trying to like break through Amazon Prime and Netflix's stranglehold.
Wait, are you telling me Tony Plus ain't hitting with the market? Well, we don't have anything that anybody wants to see. We got a guy who does a fish game show.
Oh.
Who's going to pay $3 a month to stream this?
It would be like an OnlyFans that blows up.
Yeah. It's like OnlyFans, but it's all weirdos. And then Jeff Bezos, like there's a Jeff Bezos proxy who's like, what?
Oh, it would be
You're taking all my money.
It would have to be some douchebag who's like, oh, I'm going to do my space rocket adventure. And then he somehow sees that his price is like stock price dipped slightly. It's because this little tiny streaming OnlyFans is eaten into his profits. So he cancels the space flight to deal with it.
Somebody tell Weird Al. We got a sequel.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
This is it.
But so you also have, and look, this movie's really fucking awful. But again, tentpole. We said this 1,000 times. Tentpole movies, and these movies somehow always make a huge profit. We got Friday the 13th Part 8. Yes, you heard me. 8.
Yes.
Jason Takes Manhattan. Which, look, if you only saw the trailer. Like, wait, Jason's in New York? Well, I bet he goes to Madison Square Garden. I bet he goes to the Statue of Liberty. Oh, I bet, he does all this cool stuff. Like, he's like in New York for like 3 minutes. Like, well, here's what they did the Leprechaun in Las Vegas thing, as we mentioned, where you shoot somewhere else and pretend that it's Vegas, and then you do a weekend where you get all of your B-roll and your main character under that B-roll that you can, and then just splice it in and hope people buy it. So they brought in Kane Hodder as Jason, had him walk down Times Square like 50 times, and it's just like, okay, there's all our real New York stuff, and then we'll fake the rest of it. And 80% of the movie is going to take place on a boat.
There you go. Well, it's also a thing where, like, I don't think people understand. It's like filming in New York is expensive.
Yeah, just try to shut down. I bet they didn't even. No, they didn't shut down Times Square. They just went handheld.
Yeah, totally. That's what you'd have to do.
Well, do you remember in speaking of a movie that was one of the highest grossing summer movies the following year? Remember in Gremlins 2,
Yes.
where the one guy who was you swear he died in Gremlins 1. He's running outside the building, the neighbor guy, and
Mr.
he's being
Futterman.
Yeah, he's being chased by like one of the winged gremlins. But the thing is, nobody else is responding to this winged monster next to him because they didn't shut the street down. They just went, okay, we got our camera handle. Run. We're gonna sneak the shot in. But all the New Yorkers don't give a fuck. They're like, what the hell is this shit?
They're like, what are you talking about?
Welcome to New York.
You trying to run away from a gremlin, huh? I'll show you gremlin. You got your gremlin right here.
Yeah. And there's some homeless guy. I got a gremlin too.
For $50, I'll show you my gremlin. Love it. I love our New York audience. For you 5 people out there.
Thank you, New Yorkers.
Thank you, New Yorkers.
All five boroughs, including Staten. I mean, no, I love Staten most of all. I don't know. But and then that weekend, somehow this movie is still remembered. I think this movie's only remembered because Tom Hanks became like the biggest movie star in the world, and he kind of laughs about it. But Turner and Hooch came out that weekend as well. And
also
man,
known as Tom Hanks yelling for 2 hours.
I hated this movie when I was a kid because Hooch dies.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
He dies, but he also got busy. So there's another little Hooch.
Yeah. We got to carry it on. You got to have that uplifting ending. I remember Tom Hanks on, I think it was Conan O'Brien when he was promoting Road to Perdition back in 2003, where he kind of broke out of his like nice guy character and he's playing a gangster and everything. And I think like Conan was like, oh, hey, this has got to be like the first time you carry a gun and kill people in a movie. And he's like, yeah, it might be the first time. And then he pauses. He goes, well, I think I shot the guy who shot Hooch.
Yep.
I can't remember.
Yeah, he did. I think he did. But yeah, Turner and Hooch, I mean, Better Lewis, it's a family-ish movie. It's kind of a family-ish movie. You put that on. It's like not crazy offensive.
Yeah. What's that one? It's a movie about that goofy-looking guy, Tom Hanks, and he's got a big old slobbery
remember the guy
dog.
From Big? Okay, it's Big
3,
and the
please.
dog.
Yeah, 3, please. Yeah, we'll buy that because apparently movie tickets were like $0.25, and you could just go see every movie.
Yeah.
But August 2nd, I can't remember if this is prime Steve Martin or on his way out of popularity Steve Martin, but Parenthood came out and it ate shit at the box office. And I don't know if that's
a movie. Like people, I know that film snobs love Parenthood. Yeah, it's got an ensemble cast. Like it's got a crazy ensemble cast. But I don't know. I never really got into it. And I know they made a series based off in the early 90s. Like remember when they used to do that? Like they would make a movie, it would get some little bit of notoriety, and then they would make a spin-off series related to it. Like Clerks, they did it too, and Ferris Bueller's Day Off, they did it too as well.
Well, yeah, like the Ferris one was live action, but I remember a lot of like cartoons that we saw when we were little kids because they couldn't sell us toys based on the movie. No. Because like I have 3 examples. One's a TV show, but we got RoboCop, Rambo, and Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah.
So they're like, well, let's just create a kid-friendly cartoon because there's money to be made here.
Yeah, totally.
But August 9th, and this is what I find so funny because here's another movie that came out 2 days earlier to try to capture the early audience. What it was trying to beat speaks to just how popular this movie from New Line, the series from New Line really was. August 9th was The Abyss, and they came out 2 days earlier because they were afraid of Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child. Freddie was a fucking rock star.
Although The Dream Child is one of the weaker ones in this series. They 100%.
Well, the first ones, I want to say they all got steadily worse, but the thing is, like, the first one, like, was great. The second one was fairly bad, but kind of a LGBTQ kind of icon movie. Yeah. The third one was great, but then 4, 5, 6 bad, but worse.
4 was good, Dream Master, and then you get Dream Child, which this one just like I love all of them, except for the remake. Fuck that movie. I've never gone in and purposely went to a movie to hate watch it, but that was one of them. That was one of the first ones. But
I did that with the RoboCop remake.
Yeah. With Ghostbusters, I did that too.
Well, in fairness to us, Brian, we did that for the show.
I know, but I'm like, that was one that I was like, I really don't want to watch this movie, but I did it for the show.
Because as everybody knows, Brian and I, we hate women.
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
Hate them.
I have a daughter, and I just hate them.
If there's movies that have women in them, we don't go to it because women are dumb and have boobs.
Yes, that's completely it.
That's why we didn't want to see it. Not because it looked terrible.
Not because it was a 2-hour
and not because it
Saturday
turned out to be terrible
sketch.
Yeah,
but
it's because women are stupid and shouldn't vote.
We're being very facetious, by the way. This is hyperbole.
Yes.
This is not
Please
us.
no hate mail.
Please don't cancel us. But yeah, I find it hilarious that The Abyss, which a movie that was by all accounts a living nightmare to make, was scared of Nightmare on Elm Street.
Well, I mean, this movie is known for 2 things. and they're both around the special
Yeah.
effects. Is that it was like the first movie to use Photoshop, and where it's like, whoa, look at those water effects. And I think more than the movie itself, just the effects are what people really remember from it. Because
this was the first instance of a photorealistic water
kind of thing.
effect. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And on top of that, it also showed James Cameron that he could finally make his Terminator sequel, because I think I saw interviews where James Cameron was like, my original idea was for the robot to be liquid in the first movie and to be like really fast and kind of like a Maserati, not like a big tank like Arnold, but could fit in very easily. But it was like in 1984 and we had a budget of like $100. I can't make a liquid anything. Right. But after he made Abyss, he's like, Terminator 2, baby.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah. But I mean, the Abyss, the behind the scenes of the Abyss are some of the most insane things.
James Cameron's an asshole.
Well, he is an asshole. I'm not going to say the man's not a talented filmmaker. He absolutely is.
He is.
He absolutely is. I will never take that away from him. But he is kind of an asshole to the extent.
He's a modern day Hitchcock in a way.
Yeah. Yeah. He well, not that bad, because I don't think he was trying to like fuck his actresses and then at the same time like blackball them when they
not
do that.
Not apples to apples, but just that he is a very talented filmmaker, but will treat everyone like garbage.
Yes, yeah, he has
100%, to get his final product.
100%.
Yeah.
There's a documentary, and I'm going to make sure to post this in the show notes for the episode. This documentary in the making of The Abyss, and like you have stories of the conditions being so bad that people were getting hypothermia. You have Ed Harris nearly drowning. Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio still won't, to this day, I believe, talk about The Abyss, like the actual like making of it,
because he literally
tortured her. Yeah. You had instances where people were getting electrocuted. You had instances where people could potentially drown, and all for one mad creator's vision.
And honestly, The Abyss, why I like it's pretty boring.
It is. It's a slow movie. It is absolutely a slow movie. Like I like it for the effects. As I think that's probably peak 1980s effects wise. That's it. But I don't think it's worth putting your cast and your crew in danger for a vision, like, ever. It's a fucking movie. It's not cancer surgery. It's not, life-saving medicine. It's entertainment.
And who would have thought thousands of electrical lights around big water tanks would be a bad idea?
Yeah. But I find it hilarious that it was scared of Freddy Krueger, especially Dream Child, because that one is.
Was that one that was soul food?
Oh yes, this was the soul food one. This was also the it was one where the Dan character gets turned into a motorcycle.
Dan's boy feels a need. The need for speed.
Injected. Yeah. No, this is the one where like basically Freddy, his way of trying to come back is through the baby inside of Alice's belly, which makes no sense, but okay, whatever.
Well, I mean, the way he returns and the way he dies in most of these movies doesn't make any sense.
Like they always keep like moving,
including the
goalpost.
First one.
Yes, including the
as much as I love the first one, Heather's like, Landenkamp's character's like, I'm just gonna turn my back on you, and he goes, darn, my weakness. Turning around.
If only no one else did that. If only someone else did that, I would have killed less teenagers. Oh man, yeah, just turn around and then just saying you have no power over me. That doesn't fucking work.
Do you imagine if like in what like his dream, like Johnny Depp's character was like had to take a dump, and Freddy's like, time to die, boy, and he went, oh, hold on, I gotta take a crap. No, don't turn around. Damn it.
That's called they didn't know how the fuck to end the damn thing, which they've said they didn't know how the fuck to end the damn thing. But yeah.
Well, yeah, and Freddy is on fire and going to kill the mom, ignoring the fact that now he's in the real world and he's getting 3rd-degree burns raging through his body. He's like, I don't have any nerve endings left, I guess, because I was horribly burnt in the first place. And hey, we're going on
tangents.
But here are the last two that are very noteworthy. Because as we mentioned, by the end of August, it's over. Go home. Here, the leaves are about to fall, and both of these surprised the hell out of me. Because Brian, you and I have talked about doing this episode for like 4 years, so I did the research quite a while ago. Here are the last two of the summer: Uncle Buck and Sex, Lies, and Videotape.
Wow.
It's like, okay,
that's kind of a big divergence there between family-friendly comedy and one step below porn.
Yeah. And Uncle Buck gave us Macaulay Culkin.
Yes, he did. Yes, it did give us that.
And what was like the following year? Wasn't Home Alone like the third highest grossing movie of the year?
Yes.
And it's just like, well, here's Macaulay Culkin, and now he's a Beatle.
Well, it was John Hughes. Like, that's the thing, is this was another one in John Hughes's, repertoire of producing, I'd say teenish comedies, but this isn't really a teen comedy. That's the thing. It's not like,
no, it's more of his like National Lampoon's
Yes.
Vacation, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Yeah, it's not his like rich teenagers with fake problems.
I would call it more like my Chicago comedy series, because they always seem to be based in Chicago. Everyone, like, I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Uncle Buck
I guess
place
like,
in Chicago?
you write what you know. That's why all Stephen King stuff is in Maine.
Yeah.
I would not write a story in Maine because I don't know anything about the weather or the geography of Maine. I would probably base all my stories in Edinburgh, Erie, or Pittsburgh because I know what to write.
Right.
So,
but Sex, Lies, and Videotape, man. Yeah, that's a porn there. That's yeah, man. It's been years since I've seen that film. But
well, a decade later, we got Wild Things, which is like much better softcore porn.
That's a good replacement. But what's interesting about this one was Steven Soderbergh's debut film. It's his debut film.
Yeah, it's a little crazy.
That's crazy. And launched like James Spader's career. It's just crazy.
But what a fucking summer. I hope if all of you didn't really remember the movies that came out in 89, you thought, oh, didn't Batman come out then or something? You couldn't remember any of the others. If you're still listening to us at the end here, thanks for listening to the end. But also, you got to be like, holy shit, I didn't realize all that came out in one summer.
Yeah. And well, that's again, this kind of circles back to my point. Do you feel that we are in Bizarro 1989 this summer?
Well, there was a meme online, and it had Dr. Manhattan, some of the shots from the graphic novel, and he's like, it's 1989, and the box office, he's on Mars. He's like, it's 1989, and the box office is being, driven by Indiana Jones and Batman. And then it's like, he's like, it's 2008, and the cinematic universe or box office is being run by Batman and Indiana Jones. And it's 2023, and the summer box office is being run by Batman and Indiana Jones.
But here's where I'm saying it's kind of bizarro is these movies that came out in 1989, Indiana Jones, Last Crusade, Batman, they did gangbusters. Batman took the whole damn year in terms of box office. But now it's the exact opposite. We talked about this last week. The Flash failed miserably. Dial of Destiny, same deal. Not as bad as The Flash, but underperforming.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, like you said, that towards July, August is when we start to get these movies that are kind of like, why are they there? But look at our July this year. You've got the big ones that are probably going to steal the summer with the Barbie movie and Oppenheimer.
Yeah. And I mean, one is based on a toy, so I guess you could say existing franchise. But yeah, the other one's about the man who basically may have ended the world. Well, we'll see.
We'll see. It's like the choose your own adventure.
Well, no,
book.
we won't see because we'll just die.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's a choose your own adventure book. We seem to consistently choosing the page that keeps us alive. All it takes is one person to turn the page to something that ends up killing us with that.
So, Brian, I just want to end here with some numbers, since we're talking about the summer of '89, and we talked about some movies that are known because they're tent poles, and we talked about some movies that really succeeded, but some movies that were really good. But if we're just talking pure statistical data, so if we're studio executives, the top 3 movies of 1989 were summer movies. We had Batman, ran away with it. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, and Lethal Weapon 2 was the round out the top 3. Then we get number 4, we get Rain Man, which ended up winning Best Picture as number 4. Then we got Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. At number 7, we have Ghostbusters 2. At 8, Dead Poet Society. At 9, Parenthood. 11, When Harry Met Sally. This is surprising as hell to me. The 12th highest grossing movie that year was Turner and Hooch.
Wow.
And Turner's Austin Hitch, and then you had Uncle Buck at number 13. So The Abyss at 18. So a lot of these movies. Number 21, Star Trek Part 5. Hey, it didn't hit the top 20, but it got close. Word of mouth killed that pretty quick. But so many of these
Why
movies.
does God need a starship?
Why does God need,
You're doing a Goldblum with Star Trek, man.
There's something on the plane. Something. Yeah. Not too far off from each other in their acting skills. But yeah, just like if you just look at those numbers, and Batman, I think everybody thought was going to be the highest grossing movie of all time. At least that's what Warner Brothers wanted. It didn't knock off E.T. In fact, it would take Steven Spielberg to knock himself off the mantle. It would not be till 1993 Jurassic Park became the highest grossing movie of all time, until everyone's favorite person, James Cameron, took it in 97 for his greatest movie. Which of course is True Lies. No, not his greatest movie, but his most successful movie, Titanic.
That, you know what? Now I said earlier in the episode that I don't think we've ever seen a thing that took kind of the culture by storm. That right there, Titanic, that might be the last time we've had that.
Well, I've heard this from so many people on the internet, and I couldn't agree more. It's a middle movie. It's not too stupid. It's not too stupid that smart people won't go, and it's not too smart that stupid people won't go. And if you can hit that middle ground, you'll get every audience in there, and they're gonna love
Oh my God. Like, do you remember every girl in elementary school was just like, oh my God, I gotta go see Titanic for the 50th time.
Leo makes me
It's
wet.
Leo.
Yeah.
Oh, Leo.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Hate it. But no, I correct myself. That was probably the only other time where it took it on a different point. It wasn't the merchandising. No one was buying Leo and Kate floating on a piece of debris action figures.
Well, just Kate.
Yeah, like no one was getting play sets for that. You weren't getting your own Titanic play set. But I in terms of like taking the cultural zeitgeist, that might be the only other time is Titanic.
Well, if we're talking about summer, like that wasn't Titanic came out in December.
That wasn't a summer movie. That was very different.
It was the other big time to release movies around Christmas.
Yeah, totally.
And I remember my dad, the man had no subtlety whatsoever. My sister's big gift was a computer with the internet in 97. And so we had to have people come to the house and like hook it up because, how else do you get
no
it
one
done?
knew how to do it back then.
And so my dad was like, hey, kids, we're going to go see Titanic without your mom. We're like, why isn't mom coming? He's like, she's on the rag. Don't worry about it.
Your dad really say that? Jesus Christ.
No, but he might as well with my dad. But the whole reason was my mom was going to be there at the house setting up the computer in the upstairs room while we were off at the movies. So we were none the wiser. And I went like, 3 hours, man, that movie's going to be a bit of a slog. And my sister is sitting at the table going, yeah, I don't really know if I want to go. And my dad, a man of infinite subtlety, went, you're fucking going to see Titanic. Like he had dedicated his life to Titanic research or something. She's like, okay, Dad, Jesus.
You're going to honor those dead people on the Titanic, God damn it.
Yeah.
Where's your patriotism?
You're going to admire Molly Brown, damn it.
That's great. That's a great story. And a good one to end the episode on. Good one to end
Yes,
the
yes.
episode
A December 1997 movie on the summer of 89. Yeah.
on. Awesome. This has been honestly good discussion of these movies and a good look back at a summer that really did, I think, change the way that movies are marketed, change how people's just behaviors about going to see the films, that we're playing were. John, what's your kind of final take on this?
Well, I want to challenge our Discord audience.
Oh, our Discord audience.
Is that I think that this is the biggest summer in the history of movies. And I'm not talking because they were all great. They weren't. I'm just talking the fact that, as we mentioned in the episode, successful movies, tentpole movies, movies that launched franchise, movies that ended franchise, just all the history and everything that went into this summer. I want to challenge anybody to say if they think that there was any summer that was even more successful than 1989. And I'm going to throw out one. I shouldn't give away clues. I would even possibly say 2008.
Yeah.
As you had Batman, Indy, and fucking Iron Man starting the MCU. But let us know if you think that there is a bigger summer for all the things into consideration than 1989.
I might throw that out to not just our Discord audience, but to all of our social medias, just because they are plentiful now. But that's a good one there for our 5 people who continue to listen all the way through the episode. Thank you for that, John.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's good. With that said, John, where can they find you at on the internets?
The Twittergrams and the Facer.
The Facer.
And MySpace, maybe. I don't know. Grindr. No. Wait. LiveJournal. No, wait. No, wait. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And you can find me over at JDubs Video Nasties. Let me ask you something, dear Psychos Nation. Did you like Fright Night? Did you like Child's Play? Then
Yes.
Wouldn't you love to hear something about the director of those movies talk about what it was like to make the movies? And wouldn't you like it if he was in his 80s and didn't give a fuck anymore and just let it all fly?
I started watching it the other day when you posted it, and I was like, man, Tom Holland's just like, you know what? I'm slumping all the way in the fucking chair. I don't care.
Yeah, Brian, I'm like, I can't tell the director of Child's Play to sit up. I'm
No,
not his
but I
fifth grade
know
teacher. But when I was watching him, I'm like, dude, sit up. He does eventually. He does correct his posture a little bit. But he's like 80 something. He's like, I'm gonna lean back in my chair.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like he's at that point where he's just like, yeah, I made Child's Play. Yeah, I made Fright Night. Yeah, I'm sitting any way that I damn well please. And you, sir, have that right. But that's awesome. You can find me at Brian Connington on Twitter. I also run the Psycho Show page. Be sure to like us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Psycho Show. We are also now on the threads. You heard about Facebook threads or Instagram threads, John?
No.
Oh, well, holy shit. So we are on Instagram threads, which is the Zuckerberg's try at tackling Twitter, which we're there because why not? So, hang out with us there on threads. We are also, of course, as John had alluded to, we are on, we have our own Discord channel. So if you want to answer John's question of what summer may have been better or more successful than the summer of 1989, you can contact us. Let us know there. We'll post it up there. Or you can also reach out to us on our website, cinepsychoshow.com. Please be sure to follow us, subscribe to us wherever you listen to audio, and we will see you next time.
The Abyss was right to be afraid of Nightmare on Elm Street 5. I mean, after all, it was the 50th highest grossing movie of the year.